I'm Rick Henson with this sports update for the weekend of June 18th and 19th, 2011. In high school baseball action on Friday, it was Stanton over Clarinda Academy 17-7, I-35 Truro over Orient Maxburg 15-3, Council Bluffs Thomas Jefferson versus Council Bluffs St. Albert. That game was postponed and will resume on July the 6th. In softball action Friday at the Fort Dodge Tournament, Harlan was a 1-0 winner over North Central Kossuth Armstrong Ringstead. Muscatine blanked Atlantic 10-0. Harlan beat Fort Dodge 6-5, and it was Atlantic over Colfax Mingo 6-5. Elsewhere in softball, the Trainer versus Tri-Center game was suspended due to lightning Friday. Sioux City Bishop Heelan beat MOC Floyd Valley 5-2. Bondurant Farrar was a 9-1 winner over Jefferson Scranton Peyton Sheridan. Charter Oak Ute beat Arweva 9-0. Des Moines East was a 9-1 winner over Lewis Central in softball. Fremont Mills beat Villisca 10-1. In 3 innings, it was Martinsdale St. Mary's blanking Bedford 12-zip. Missouri Valley over AHST in 6 innings, 11-1. Ottumwa was an 11-1 winner over Lewis Central. Pleasantville blanked Corning 6-0. Waukee was a 2-1 winner over Glenwood, and Woodbine beat Council Bluffs St. Albert 6-5. The College World Series opens at the new TD Ameritrade Park on today, Saturday, after 61 years at Rosenblatt Stadium. There's a lot of CWS experience in the field, with defending champion South Carolina and 34-time qualifier Texas among the entries. The glitz of the $131 million stadium is bringing out the nerves, not just in first-timer Vanderbilt. Longhorns coach Augie Garrido said Friday he told his players to focus on what happens on the field and forget about the hoopla of the stadium opening. The series opens today with Vanderbilt playing North Carolina and Texas meeting Florida. And then on Sunday, it's California against number 1 national seed Virginia and Texas A&M against South Carolina. In Pacific Coast League baseball action Friday, it was Omaha downing Round Rock 4-0 and Albuquerque over the I-Cubs 13-10. Those same teams are in action again this weekend. On Saturday, it's Omaha at Round Rock at 6:05 Central Time and Iowa versus Albuquerque at 8:05. Sunday's action pits Iowa at Albuquerque at 7:05 p.m. and Omaha at Round Rock at 7:05 p.m. A prison inmate serving a life sentence for the 1964 slaying of former Iowa wrestling coach Dan Gable's sister has died. Iowa prison officials say 64-year-old John Kyle was in custody of the Kansas Department of Corrections and under hospital care when he died earlier this week after suffering a heart attack. Kyle was 16 years old when he killed 19-year-old Diane Gable in May of 1964. He began his sentence in 1964 and escaped from the Iowa State Penitentiary in Fort Madison in 1977, but was eventually caught in Florida some 8 months later. He was transferred to the custody of Kansas corrections officials after he was apprehended. In terms of passion for college football, Iowa State coach Paul Rhodes says that one of the major Division I conferences is far and away the most rabid. Rhodes has coached in 4 of the BCS conferences and came to Iowa State from Auburn, a member of the Southeastern Conference. Rhodes says that football fans in the SEC are fanatical.
I've had the great fortune of coaching in 4 of the 6 BCS leagues. The SEC, I would truly describe from top to bottom as being fanatical. They live it and breathe it to an extreme.
Rhodes said that fans in the Big 12 and the Big 10 strive for their schools to have a more balanced athletic department.
I would say this about the Big 12 and the Big 10. They put it more in perspective, and they like a well-rounded sports docket of going from one sport to the next and enjoying every one of them.
And that's not to say that fans in the Midwest don't take their football seriously, but Rhodes says there's something special about competing at the highest levels of Division I football, regardless of conference.
Doesn't mean it's any less important in any of those leagues, but it's not over the top. The environment, whether it's Jack Trice or Jordan Hare or Heinz Field, is just as electric wherever you go.
Rhodes is entering his 3rd season as Iowa State's head coach. A summer basketball league featuring players from Iowa and UNI begin its 25th season on Sunday with the opening day of the Prime Time League. Commissioner Randy Larson says the league will hold games Sunday afternoons and Tuesday nights through the end of July. The Game Time League for women starts next Wednesday.
It's free. It's at the North Liberty Rec Center. It's air-conditioned. They got a little refreshment stand outside the Optimist Club grounds. And we got a program that tells you about the sponsors and who every player is and what their number is and what school they went to. And I think most people kind of find it's nice to get to talk to them before and after the game. This isn't 30 rows up at Carver Hawkeye or you get to see what they really are as people. And if you know one thing about how Iowa and you and I recruit, these are great young men and women.
The league always gives Iowa fans an early look at the incoming recruits, and Larson says there will be plenty of talent in their women's leagues as well.
Just as this is one of the most heavily anticipated teams for Iowa, because these 4 incoming players are so important and because the Iowa men have gotten some excitement going again, this may be the best Iowa team in a long, long time, maybe 20 years. Lisa Bluter, I think, will have her best team in her 12 years or so I think she's been here. She's got 5 incoming recruits. She's got the first top 10 recruit they've had since Vivian Stringer was here. They were 3rd in the Big Ten last year. They've won the Big Ten 3 times under her leadership. And yet I think this is the best team they'll have.
Larson says the Game Time League will hold games once a week.
We cut them back a little bit because they go to Europe, Iowa does, and they've got 10 practices to fit in, and with the compressed academic schedule because the timing of that trip, we just felt one night a week was enough for them. So Wednesday nights at 6 and 7:30 for the women, starting June 22nd, going for about 5 weeks.
And a number of sports for next month's Iowa games are facing a registration deadline. Jim Hallahan is the executive director.
We have 2 sports coming up for the late deadline, which is June 20th, and that's adult men's basketball, which for years we've held it in Des Moines in June, and this year we're holding it at the games in July, so it's a change for people on that. And then the youth basketball 5-on-5 is also on June 20th. So, those can be pretty big sports. Last year I think we had 56 teams in basketball, so we're hoping by the promotions we've been doing to pick up some more teams and really have a record-setting year this year.
Hallahan says all of the competition in adult men's basketball will be in Ames, and he says Monday will be the online registration deadline for adult men's basketball and youth 5-on-5 basketball. The postal deadline for both sports was earlier this week. Hallahan says if you're not sure about the date or registration information for your sport, you can find it on their website.
Go to iowagames.org, click on Summer Games, and then go to your sport, and it will tell you when the deadline is. It'll give you the cost of the sport. It'll give you the weekend that's offered, because we do have 3 different weekends.
And that is a check of sports. I'm Rick Hansen reporting.